Well, thanks to the Murdochs, journalism and news gathering are again under the spotlight after the practices of the News of the World were revealed. So has the scandal tarnished the reputation of newspapers, not just in Britain, but around the world. Chris Warren is the Federal Secretary of the Journalists' Union, the MEAA, in Australia, and he joins me now from Sydney. So, Chris Warren, first of all, how much damage do you think has been done by the ongoing News of the World illegal phone hacking scandal, in your personal opinion?
It's too early to judge the full extent of the damage, but there's no doubt that journalism, really around the English-speaking world at least, has been damaged by the exposures that have come from the United Kingdom, even in those countries like Australia, where there's no evidence that those practices were in place.
And what was your view of Rupert Murdoch's performance in Britain overnight?
I think it was very pleasing to see that both the Murdochs grasped, and indeed Rebekah Brooks grasped, that the answer to this crisis that the company faces, and in some ways journalism faces, is a greater investment and an understanding of ethical, quality journalism. That papers are only published or are only accepted in a community if they've got sort of a social licence to publish. That is, if the community, not just their readers, but obviously their readers and buyers in particular, accept their right to communicate with them. What happened with the News of the World is that the News of the World really lost its social licence. The knock-on effect of that is the risk that newspapers generally are damaged, and it's only by a really strong commitment to ethical behaviour in journalism that, as journalists, we can rebuild that.
Some politicians here in Australia are concerned that because News Corp is also an Australian company, that practices similar to those pursued by the News of the World in the UK are also present here. Does that worry you?
Look, it worries me that people fear that there is illegal behaviour by Australian journalists or by Australian media organisations, because I don't think there's any evidence of that. But journalists here in Australia, and I think journalists all around the world, need to reflect deeply on what the ramifications of News International is, not just say, well, what they did was illegal, we don't act illegally, therefore what we do is okay. Because there's a difference between appropriate ethical behaviour in the practice of quality journalism and illegality. And it's important that we understand that our readers, our listeners, our viewers expect us to adhere to the highest ethical standards, not just obey the law.
Chris Warren, we have to leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you.